start to record. We are going to organize a private playlist from the videos of the presentations, etc. So just you can access later to rewatch or something like this. So we're probably going to send you in the following days this access. But well, so welcome to the fifth day of the program, and now in the first part of the session, we're going to hear a lot from the groups about what you guys discussed, what ideas are coming from it. Of course, after that, we'd like to have some discussions and questions from everyone. So feel free to question the groups, etc. So for that, as I said, we have a short time for the presentation, 7 to 10 minutes. So try to organize your time in this division. And for start, I will, so we have 4 groups, okay? So I'm using the rules divisions that we had in the class. So the first group here is the one from Carlos, Diana, Isabel, Linda, Karina, and Aditya. So do you guys want to start? Who's going to represent the group in the presentation?
Everybody's going to talk a little bit, but I think that maybe if we can continue with another group, because I think that Aditya is in the traffic now. So
okay. Yeah, he entered here with a mask and
yes.
Okay, so
it was in a region.
So let's pass for group 2. So group 2, we have Maria Fernanda, Daisy, Mikel, and Michael, Natalia, Nicholas. Who is going to present for the group 2?
Don't be shy. I can help you, but don't be shy.
Very encouraging.
Yeah.
So guys, you are prepared. So let's go.
Let's go.
I'll go ahead for that.
Great.
Okay,
you guys
Nicolas.
have any slides or something?
Yeah, we prepared a bunch of slides.
Okay. So
Nicolas de Souza, but you are in India, isn't it? Yeah, Nicolas.
Yeah, Nicolas.
Yes, Jose.
But yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you were in another.
Yeah, he's been a very regular student. I mean,
yeah, but the Souza is more like last name from Brazil. It's like confused, like.
Yeah, it's really Brazilian name.
Yeah.
Our descendants coincidentally were, I think, from the Portuguese, from Goa and towards our side. So that's how.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Portuguese. Yeah, that's true. You speak Portuguese, Nicholas?
No, not actually.
Okay, so go ahead, Nicholas. So it's available for share screen. So if you want to share,
yes.
I'm just let you guys know on the chat about the time. So if you're running up, I will just let you know on the chat about the time.
Sure. Give me a second, please. One second.
Okay.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So all of us discussed, and the theme is human caused environmental damage. So basically, human caused, human based intervention into the environment. Although we've got a lot of things from the environment, we have almost always exploited it, and our greed has always come first. And hence there has been a lot of detrimental changes towards the environment. So we would like to talk about those effects on the environment, and also the steps by which we can tackle those changes, from the grassroots level, starting from ourselves, our schools, colleges, and the community at large. So I'll start with the risks. The risks that are basically cause, degradation of the environment due to human intervention is mostly population overpopulation, pollution, global warming, climate change, water pollution, ocean acidification, deforestation. As of now, I think a major risk is e-waste, deforestation, and genetic modification. I just want to touch upon genetic modification. I mean, most of us have heard about the plant-based proteins, and most recently, yesterday, I'd seen in the news, they have introduced the first genetically modified, produced in the lab chicken, which can be used, to be, which can be is edible and can be eaten. So one case study that I'd heard is that they had made something called as super weeds. Super weeds basically to eat out the other weeds, so that the plants could grow and you would have, a good produce of wheat. But in because of that, another branch of another species of weeds was developed, and that ate up all the good wheat. And hence, there was for something good, you had to counter that with something bad. And hence genetic modification also has its side effects. So before trying to experiment with nature, it sometimes comes back to us. This is from the UN, the things that they want to do, the 17 goals for sustainable development. And we put this slide because these are the things that would help us understand that it's very necessary to take action against the environment. And the way we are progressing, the environmental impacts due to human intervention is become more and more important and evident in our day-to-day lives, especially through climate change, global warming, etc. So our idea is to create an environmental, socially responsible program which can be incorporated in schools, colleges, and communities to generate awareness, actively advocate for environmental issues, and promote project-based, eco-friendly funded solutions. So I'll elaborate this in the further slides. So basically, we want to start at the grassroots level. That is, we approach schools, colleges, and our communities. So one way that we can, do something for the environment is, of course, by ourselves. So we would go to schools, colleges, and communities, conduct programs for them, and first of all, create awareness that how the environment is, is responsible for so much that we have, and how we have impacted the environment, and caused damage to that. So that would generate awareness. That is number one. Number two is, once they know how important the environment is, we would also encourage them to conduct, cost effective and eco-friendly projects. So that would hence, allow them to have, cost effective solutions which could be deployed in especially rural areas, in, rural low income areas, and also their communities, so that they can use it for themselves. Also, for a more of a solution, we would like to take it in the national and global scale. For that, we would need funding. So we would also like to engage public and private investors to invest in these ideas, which is in schools and colleges, so that they could be taken to a level that would impact the world at large. Also, another point that we had is, we would like to develop and help children advocate for creating a protective laws for the environment with the legislative power of their cities and enforcing them with the government. So, I mean, children have a lot of love for the environment, and we would, touch upon that. And, if they do understand, what this is about, we would like to groom them so that they would be more, more caring for the environment and would take proactive stages in the later stages of their life, towards the environment, and would be an active advocate for them. Also, as to help children and to help schools and colleges actually conduct projects which could be deployed in low income areas and into into various places, they would need a mentorship program. So we would also reach out to schools, other private and public schools, so we would have professors mentoring them, so so that they could have some amount of hand holding for some time, and also support them to take their idea forward into a more sustainable solution. So actually I touched upon this the previous slide, but anyways, involving yeah, so one thing that I didn't cover is that we would like to generate like a private fund so that these projects could be invested on, and also associate investors to scale the idea into the solution. Another important part of this program would be having a full-fledged online social media campaign. We've seen companies like Nike and Adidas. They very aggressively promote that they are very environmentally friendly. They are I recently saw their ad on shoes. The shoes made from ocean plastic, so they took them out from the oceans, and they generated those eco-friendly shoes. So things like that would create a lot of interest, especially if you have people from schools, colleges and institutions making them. If we could aggressively publicize about that, that would generate a lot of buzz, and hence also encourage others to make such eco-friendly solutions, and we could have a very cost-effective solutions at hand to tackle big problems. So I haven't had so why to do it is because I think care for the environment and doing something different just doesn't come in a short period of time. If you're able to groom people for a period a couple of years, then that automatically is instilled into the minds of people, and hence even you look down 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they would be socially responsible adults, and would obviously do something for the society. So I spoke about this. So I'm done with this.
Great, thank you, Nicholas. Really nice idea, and I saw that you tackle right on the children, so the next generation itself. So it's good to have this interaction, especially having you, for example, as MBA students or alumni, and go into communities and talking with children about this. So really nice idea. Thank you for the presentation. My colleagues, so any comments or feedbacks for the group?
Well, I would say quite a nice presentation, everything presented in a structured, logical way, and what's more, it's all the points are relevant, and it shows that it has been thought about, and our colleagues have thought it through, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I think it's very important that you talk, Nicholas, about how we can become, that's the principle of the social business, how transform the problem in financial business. So, because sometimes when you are telling to the people that you have to change the habit, and that we are having this, awful problem about the climate change, it's difficult, but when you join, you know, the needs of the people with this kind of problem, and we can create business and projects, it's much better to try to get the changes, you know, because at the same time they are getting incomes, and that, I think, is a very clever way to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. It was very structured and articulate message, and especially I liked children advocacy, so it is really great and very important idea to scale these ideas, innovative ideas, into solutions, not just to speak about them, but to do something. So very practical. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Nicholas.
Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you, Nicholas. It was good and effective presentation. Just wanted to say that you just making children as ambassadors. I think that's a very good idea, because children can really be very effective in bringing about change, because they themselves do it and then they tell their parents, and they can be very appealing, you know, because parents always listen to the children. So that's a very good view, a good route. I was just wondering what kind of awareness and how are you going to create this awareness? What is the kind of media that you'll be using to create this awareness? So I couldn't find that point. How will you create awareness?
So basically, like, since this starts in the grassroots, like, you know, we would have that in the communities, the programs, and in schools, whatever they are doing, you know, these programs, we would like to take videos of them, and also these small projects, and, you know, put that on social media to generate, you know, like a buzz and an interest.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to know. How are you? So it's going to be more of their projects and what they've been. So it's more action packed. Whatever they'll be doing, you'll be showcasing it on. Good idea. Very good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations, Nicolas. I love the idea. And I love the way you approach the problem and get to a practical solution, and mostly talking about the mentorship for the kids. That's very important, not just to educate, not just to present, but involve all the project, all the packet with mentoring, accompanying through the results. I have just one question for you and your team. And then what will be the next step, the next immediate step to do that? What would you do?
The next steps would be contacting my immediate family and also people in my community, you know, and approach them, you know, and also we have, since all of us have been to college, all of us have been to schools, you know, contact our immediate contacts and, you know, try to take that forward, starting from ourselves.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
Thank you, Karina.
Let's
Really
do
good.
it.
Really good. So yeah, guys, I think you should go forward with this. So maybe think together in a I know a methodological way to do that. So achieving the 5 countries that we have here, for example, sharing expertise and expectations. So imagine, for example, in a day you connect children from all over the countries, and of course you have some language barriers, but for interact and see each other doing similar things. So this is really life-changing for the kids, and of course they will really feel like ambassadors and going forward and bring these discussions during all life. So really nice idea. Thank you, Nicholas, and all your group for the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Gustavo.
So now we're going with the group 3. Group 3 is Anastasia, Hugo, Kamal, Paulo, and Sebastian.
Perfect. I'm going to share the screen. Paulo, you can see the screen? Paulo has problem with the connection.
Yeah, I have problem with my internet, but I can hear you.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So hello, everyone. I wish you an excellent day. According to our group work, we identify a common factor problem, which requires attention and importance, and lies mainly in India, Colombia, and Brazil. So it corresponds to the water crisis. As we know, or as we saw in the news, a significant proportion of water consumption is made in food production. So you can imagine that it takes between 200 and 500 liters of water to produce the food consumed by one person in a day. It's incredible, the statistic or the date. And taking into account that the world population will reach 10 billion people in 2050, the demand for food is expected to increase by 50%. So with the increase, we need for water. We need to increase the consumption of water. Also in Europe, the agricultural sector consumes a third of water reserves. And if you add to this increased demand for private uses due to our lifestyles and the decrease in rainfall due to climate change, in the future we will find it difficult to meet water in the areas, include the agriculture water that we need. So as we commented at the beginning, India, Colombia, and Brazil, we have the common problem in our agriculture. Also, well, I guess that in all the countries. So what to do? Maybe we need to investigate new ways to get this fresh water, because we are in a traditional way to get the water. We are not using too much the rainfall water, and we need to improve the global practices. Maybe the government's subsidies, tools to our cultivation in a sustainable way. How to do? Kamal proposed, my partner from India, proposed that, well, again, the subsidies tools, it's very important. And also, we investigate the use of treated wastewater for agriculture. Maybe with the sustainable chemics, we can transform this wastewater to use it again in our agriculture. Maybe we can have a proposal, an innovate proposal in policies favorable to the efficient of water resources, because the government is not too involved with that. Why to do? Well, the answer is very clear. We have a lot of reasons of that, and I think that changing our mindset is the first step in turning environmental risk into opportunities. So that's our mindset. That's our reason of our group.
Okay, please, Sebastian, could you click on the image, please?
Yeah.
We can show us how does not start. It's a cheap solution, and we were thinking in something like innovation idea that take the air and became in water. So it's very cheap, and it's to remote places, and we can see different ways to take water, right? We know that in Brazil and India and in Colombia, we have the problem, and always we are waiting for the government but we can create different things that can help us to solve. And this idea is a short video. Please enjoy it.
My name is Arturo Vittori, and I'm an architect designer. Over the last 3 years, we have been working on a project called Water. Water is a philosophy that is looking at the environment and different possibilities to collect and harvest water in a sustainable way. The idea of the project came out from visiting a small village called Dorze in Ethiopia and realizing these incredible issues, seeing children and women walking for kilometers and kilometers every day in order to bring some water home. Water is represented now by a tower that is going up to the sky to collect moisture from the air and to bring it down by gravity to the people. We have a holding structure, which is made, in this case, out of bamboo. There is an inner mesh that is harvesting and collecting the water by condensation. And then there is a big funnel, and then a reservoir that is containing the water. Each tower is capable to provide the community with 100 liters of water every day, and this water is potable. The idea is to have a structure that is simple to construct on site. The entire tower is very light. It's almost 80 kilograms and it's 12 meters high. So that was the big challenge, how to make it possible to build without scaffolding, without machinery, only by constructing by hand. But in order to achieve this, the real technology and difficulty has been in the design part. So for me, the cutting-edge technology in the project is in the software. The design is basically parametric. Once we have designed the shape, we can improve it, implement it very easily without redesigning it again. So in a few seconds, we are already another option. An important part of the project is the idea that it's an open source concept. The local community will be trained how to make it, and they will be free to repeat it as much as they like.
As you see, it's a short video, and it's one idea of a lot of ideas that we have. And the invitation is we can make the different things to solve the same problems.
Yeah, that's perfect, Paulo. So Kamal, our collaborate partner, says a lot of problems that India nowadays is have presenting with the water. And in Punjab, that is an agriculture area, have a large impact in the water crisis. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we identified a common factor problem, and we have a very innovative solutions. I identified a lot with realigning crop strategies across the country based on rainfall and water tables. With the technology, maybe we can use the small data and the big data to predict the behavior of the climate, and we can use the rainfall to improve, to be more efficient with the use of the water. I don't know if Kamal has something to add in the solutions. Or Paulo, what do you think, or you have something to add in the solutions?
Yeah, no, we were thinking on different solutions. So as you see, we can create the policy to grow plants closer to monsoon. Then we have a lot of ideas. And the important thing that is the focus on this problem and drive our projects in this way. So the water problem is we were thinking that in the environment in global or ideas as we can change the way that we are thinking, but if we need to do focus in one problem, and the water is one of those problems. And as you can see, we need to talk with different companies or the government and try to realign the strategies to solve this and make it cheaper or take access for the water. We were seeing in Brazil in the favelas how we have the service, the water service, and we need to change that. And we know that it's hard, but we can try to check that those ideas to the water is close to the people. Yeah. On the city. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Do you have some questions?
Oh, yeah, Sebastian and Paolo and team. First of all, congratulations. Definitely you identified and you are focusing on this problem that it's a real pain for the world, for the planet, not just for some countries. It's just very clear, identified and defined. I just have one question, and it's related to this great solutions that you just came to. What will be the of these positive alternatives? One are easier than others, but what will be your differentiation, your core value to implement, and how will you do that? For example, when you talk about the government, well, it all depends on all these advocacy activities, but for your team, well, what will be your value or your next step in order to make it possible? Is this that technology, identify the technology, and then redesign or organize a group of specialists, or what will it be? What have you discussed in the team?
Okay, well, our prop value that we need, that is our focus, maybe is the mindset. Is work on the mindset of our culture, because maybe in our communities we don't the problem don't have the importance or the relevance that it needs. So the next step, and also aligned with a prop value, is change the mindset, is work on it, persuading the mindset of our communities.
Okay, then this a matter of educational program or something like that, or in order to make this mindset?
Yeah, maybe educational, but not a program, because we don't have maybe the experience to structure that. But maybe in a persuade sense, I'm talking about the social markets. I'm talking about maybe with another kind of publicity, marketing, digital marketing. We can persuade our millennials that they increase the communication, they increase the idea. So yeah, maybe in that way we are looking for
communication.
Yeah, and we were talking about we know, as I say, we are waiting for the government solve our problems, and we can take maybe groups, yeah, and create any solution, a cheap solution. We have different ideas around the world, and create it ourselves. Yeah. and then we were talking to the initiatives could take you start with one, and maybe the other group of people can see or how we solve that problem and take the same idea, and we think that we can create a net of knowledge of this initiative. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina.
Thank you, everyone. Really good. What else, guys? Comments?
No, I just can suggest you, because I was reading the book that this guy from Microsoft, Bill Gates, and he's talking about how cultivation now is generating, a lot of this kind of greenhouse emissions. So he has like kind of plan, and also I think this that we can do now is try to get, when we are talking about cultivation, how is working the whole value chain, and how we can start to detect when we got this a lot of like loss of water, and there are special kind of crops that they are needing more water, and maybe when we had identified this kind of whole picture, we can start to mobilize all the efforts in these kind of crops, and after try to understand how are possible to get like renewable water, like you said, maybe recycling water, maybe trying to like get water for another kind of funds, and this like huge proposal. So maybe try to really focalize, so in which country we can start to work on a pilot, and after to try to get the insights and to try to replicate, because it's a huge problem and it's a global program. But that's my suggestion, and was really good idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Jose.
I am just curious about how do you see this problem in Russia, guys? I don't know if you, because I don't know, for us in Latin America, this is like, well, we have like a lot of resources. Now we are a little bit more, just a little bit more conscious about what we have and how to use it. But I don't know, guys, how do you see this problem in your country? Or how do you think the government is like working on it or something?
Well, in Russia, with Anastasia, but today is not Anastasia here. But we don't talk about in Russia. I don't know, Natalia, maybe what do you think, or Andre?
Well, one thing we are guilty of is being wasteful with water. You see, we even call ourselves, and I guess some people, some other neighboring countries also do, that Russia is a rich country with water. And one more lucky thing that we have is that most of the huge water bodies are internal, so we do not share them with any other countries. The rivers flow just in Russia. The lakes, the Baikal Lake is only in our borders, and we are wasteful of water. That's true. But nowadays, a lot of people start talking about that, and we are encouraged to save water even in little actions. And I hope it will even develop into a more prominent campaign someday.
Oh, great. That's something to learn here in Colombia and other countries.
Okay, can I just share, Sebastian?
Yeah.
So, I was just thinking of 2-3 things, since we have been facing a lot of water problems in India, especially in Rajasthan and North, where the agriculture belt in Rajasthan is totally dry up. So they have kind of wells which is under the desert. They have made those kind of hollow kind of a thing, which is more like a well, during the monsoon, all the water gets accumulated in that. And then they use it when there is no water. So that was one innovation. But what I would say is that instead of depending on the government, I think people, NGOs and civil society and corporates should play a very important role. Because see, where the technology is concerned, the corporates can really bring in a lot of knowledge. Israel is one country which has really been a best practice in sprinkling water, which we have taken up in one of our areas. That sprinkling water saves water, it gives to larger area, and it really is very cost effective. So that's one. Second thing, as in, individual societies in Mumbai and urban areas, they have on the terrace made water harvesting. So whatever water is accumulated on the terraces, they kind of collect it and use it for the society purposes. So, people in the residential area get water throughout the year. So that's another way. And third thing, as an individual level, we should be very mindful. We keep talking and we keep preaching, but when it's our question, the wash basin, the water is on, we are brushing the teeth and the water is just flowing, we are ourselves not very mindful. We have to really conserve that kind of a consciousness that every drop of water is very important. So if that comes to an individual level, I think all of us will change. So it all starts with me, how thoughtful I am about using water. Because if we feel we have water, it's fine. You keep on bathing and you use a tub. Tub is much more, taking water than having a bucket water. All those kind of small things which make a difference in conservation of water, which is on a larger scale done, it will be very impactful. So I think we all have to think from that perspective, that what are we doing in terms of saving water?
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'm agree with you. Yeah, because maybe in the urban areas of Mumbai, you can find this sense of conscious. Yes, the people there, obviously they have another lifestyle, but in the agricultural way, maybe
agriculture, no, you can't. Agriculture, you have to have technology. Agriculture, you have to have sprinkling water. Agriculture, you have to have seeds. Agriculture, you have to have a different practice altogether. The cropping has to be different. The cropping of the season has to be different. There are a lot of things that has to be different from the urban. Definitely, yes, of course. So that's where the innovation comes in. That's where the innovation comes in.
And an arid zone. Do you have a lot of arid zones in India? Oof. I guess that the arid, how can I say area? Yeah.
Arid.
Area.
No, it's a
Area.
very urban is very dense. Very dense. There is no space at all.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a very dense area. Hardly there is any space left. In Mumbai, every square feet, every inch is very, very expensive. It's like New York rate.
That's true.
So to buy a residential house in Mumbai is like buying a house in New York. It's as that expensive. So there is no space. But then, within that limitation, you try to make the best. That's the whole idea.
Thank you, Nirja.
Thank you. Thank you. But very good presentation, I must say. You brought in a lot of valid points in terms of innovation and all that. That was very good. And the whole team has done a great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
And I would like to thank you for cross-cultural perspective, because it was very interesting. And speaking about Russia, yes, we have enough water, but it's really important to raise awareness of responsible water consumption. And we do this. It's especially I can give you an example. For example, IKEA company, they sell special devices that you put into your bath. And for example, if you're staying in the bathroom for a long time, they start giving beep sounds and lights.
Well,
somehow we're trying
I like that.
We're trying, and we're trying to raise awareness, not only we as educational institutions, but multinationals that operate here in Russia. They
very good,
try to do something in order to raise.
So we hope the arriving of IKEA in our country.
Great.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the presentation, for such engaging discussion. So it's really important to have this intercultural and inter-countries cooperation and collaboration and different points of view. Thank you for that. So let's move to the group 4. Alejandra, Andre, Eduardo, Jairo, and Jose is going to present.
I believe I'm going to. So, colleagues, I believe you might have the chance to observe our little chat with Nicholas about electronic waste. And it's quite fitting, a coincidence, but a fitting one, because our topic of today would be connected with tech. So let's talk technologies. Just a second, I'm going to share my screen. Please tell me, can you see it well?
Yes.
Great. Let's talk technology. So, when faced with COVID virus, in these tiring times, each of our nations has been faced with this dire need, the need to be able to communicate with others, regardless of the topic, regardless of the sphere, regardless of the point, online. And it turns out it's not as easy as one might have thought. And especially in the poorer regions, in the poorer areas where not everybody can afford even the simplest of devices and gadgets. And it is this technological digital inequality that may influence the development of society in the coming years. And we strongly believe that it is through closing this gap between people who have access to digital, both soft and hardware, and those who don't, will allow for a better and more harmonious development of the society. Now, just before we proceed any further, ask yourself how difficult it is to connect, to even host this meeting. Well, if we hadn't had access to both computers, smartphones, and internet in general, we wouldn't be having this wonderful conference today. And sadly, a lot of people, both in our countries, BSIEM countries, and other countries in the world, do not have this, not even an opportunity, but a necessity, and in a sense, a luxury. So idea is that families should have same resources as everyone else to be able to work from home, to study from home. So basically to everything, not while staying digital. And how can that be achieved? What we are to do and why we to do it is going to be out in the next few slides. So the main ideas are listed here. It would be collecting resources, self-explanatory. Their other points are more riveting. So for instance, why not open digital community centers that resemble libraries in the traditional sense, but that instead would provide digital services to people who come there to get free education, for instance. Another wise idea would be opening up a digital bank of capabilities. You know, we have this huge corporations, the multinational ones, as we have already mentioned today, that can show a sign of goodwill and actually share their training programs, make them available to smaller companies and certain social groups. You know, it would not cost much to them, perhaps even nothing, but the resulting effect would be enormous. How are we to do it? Well, first, it would be reasonable to identify which communities, which social groups are in dire need of such help, and focus precisely on them. Sadly, we cannot help each and everyone, but if we are able to identify their target audience, so to say, then our efforts would be of greatest use. Of course, we have to raise awareness and cultivate the conscious culture of conscious use. So instead of throwing out your old 2-year phone, you can donate it to people who do not have any phone at all. How hard would that be? What are you losing? Well, practically nothing. You are going to purchase your new phone, and instead of the old one being rotting somewhere away, it's not even going to rot, as Nicholas has pointed out. Those are not biodegradable things. So instead, they have a chance to get a second life and be used for the better. And same goes with the manufacturers. So in case of having a bad batch some faulty devices, instead of completely dismantling those, they can also be sacrificed, they can also be donated to those in need. Finally, why to do it? I think each and every one of us here has a clear, distinct answer to that question, because nowadays it is virtually impossible to live without access, without digital access. And the gap, if it continues to grow and disproportionately, it will affect more and more communities, and especially those most vulnerable ones, such as people of color and low-income households. Think about students nowadays who would not be able to get their education without computers and access to the internet. It is practically one of the only ways to get your tuition in times of COVID. And in the long term, it is those students that will be future entrepreneurs, future workforce, future labor force. And if we if you do not take action now and take care of the present time and close future, then in the far future it will bring dire consequences. And finally, it is indeed a win-win situation for everyone and everything. Resources are not wasted, hardware gets a second life, people get the support they need, and those who can provide this support may feel a sense of benevolence, may feel a sense of doing a good deed, and actually are likely to do the same thing in the future if there is a need, and surely there will be one. What are our next steps? Well, it is when we, BSIEM countries, come into play. Think about our institutes as entities. It is entities with bustling atmosphere where students of all backgrounds come together, and we may engage our students to play a critical role in resolving this issue. So if you take the younger ones who are studying for bachelor or master's degree, they can be of service as volunteers, for instance. And if they are taught these issues that we are actually speaking about right now, then we raise their awareness, and in turn, when they grow a bit older and start doing their own business, it will be them who is going to influence the world as we know it today. And for more senior students who are studying for an MBA degree, right? They actually already have the power to influence the processes. They may adopt these policies in doing their business and become a role model, become an example for others how to conduct business properly. And the most prominent ones, the ones who have the connections to large companies, may also in turn stimulate them to play a more active role in this whole process and do their part. So it is through engagement of students, it is of all backgrounds and ages, and through raising awareness, the very noble thing that we are doing here today can we secure a better future for everyone. And future undoubtedly cannot be imagined without technologies. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope we managed to get our point straight to us. It was done through our collective of students from 4 countries, and we tried to give you a perspective, a multicultural perspective. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Andrei. Really great. And it's a really important issue nowadays, especially as you already said, in the COVID situation, all classes moved to online platforms, for example, and it's a privilege to be here and to be possible to attend classes online. And so, yeah, we have the lack access on technology and on gadgets, but also in internet access in different realities. So this is, we saw here in Brazil lots of histories from kids that travel for a couple of kilometers to find a place with a free Wi-Fi, a free internet connection to attend classes. So this is really, really important. So we'd like just brief here and comments as we are rushing on time, but any comments or feedbacks for the group, guys?
Well, I just loved your presentation, Andre, on the team. And I think it's a very practical, and you did a very strong action call to all of us to make this real. And I just want to share with you one of the companies here in Mexico, Softec, which is a company for software that works globally. They do have a program just like this, and it can be replicated. And also in the university, I just, as soon as you were talking about it, I was realizing how to implement it and how to make a call and what will we do in order to convert this in action. I think it's a very idea, and thank you for presenting and and for this action call that you will very soon hear some impacts and results of this presentation. With a few minutes, you did a change. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I hope it really does have an impact, a positive one.
So Andre, I think let me just share some of my thoughts. I think it was a very good presentation. What I liked the most in this presentation was that it was simple, manageable, actionable. It's all the question of it's doable. Otherwise, you just talk of some recommendation that's really not possible, and you just speak and wait, and it's not done. But this is so simple, like manufacturers giving, old phones giving. I mean, if we all start doing that, imagine the impact. So I think that was a very good point. Second thing, I was just wondering about the community library. I think that is something even I was thinking, that we could start that, something like that. But my only concern is about the distancing, because of the COVID. Since children can't go to school, how can they be in the library? How can they be in the community together? So that's my concern, that if they come together, there's a possibility of catching, COVID or something. So that was little, how do you do it? Because even I thought that if there was one thing, maybe children who don't have an access, at least would have an access in the community and not miss out on the homework, not miss out on the classroom and all that stuff. So that was another point. But I think on the whole, you really brought in a lot of things that is done by individual and by the corporates and by the society at large. And it's required. And if that's done, it is really very, very impactful. Thank you so much, Andre and the team, for a good presentation.
Yeah, I had a very quick comment, Andre. I just shared with you guys on the chat, like Educol, because now actually we are working with a company called Educol here in Colombia, and they are doing the same. They are using these small devices, not a smart cell phone, and with that one, they are, access to the rural special children that they don't have access to education. So we are working in a project with them. So I know that in your team are, students from Colombia. So this is the information, and we are working with them, with the manager, Daniel, and he's like, social entrepreneur. So Educol. Well, it's in Spanish, but I mean, it's like some people that are already working in that kind of project. That's my, thank you for your presentation, Andre.
Thank you, Jose. Nicholas,
so Andre, can the WhatsApp be used? Andre? Can the WhatsApp be used for some kind of continuation of some work for the children, at least for some homework and all? Because that's what some people are doing. Using WhatsApp instead of using the kind of Zoom or anything that they have been working on.
Okay. Easyable tools like more useful you have in any phone, right? WhatsApp, for example. Yeah. Really interesting. Nicholas.
Yeah, very nice presentation, Andre. I had two things to share. One is that about learning. I was part of an NGO. They were doing some work in the slums in Mumbai. So what they used to do is group-based learning. So they used to have like one big LCD screen like in a place in a slum, like a common area, and all of them used to group together, and that's how they used to learn. So that would be an effective use of technology. Like if you have Zoom on that one smart TV or that one, that one monitor, you would be able to educate, multiple people in one shot. That was my one point. The other point was that in terms of reusing technology, in India, at least, companies like OnePlus, which is a Chinese phone company, and Samsung have started like an exchange phone offer. If you, buy a new phone, you get a discount and you can give that phone back, the old phone back to them. But the catch is that they don't do much with the old phone. If it is possible to acquire those phones as with the enhancement with technology and everything going on the cloud, those old phones can be reused, and you could have Zoom calls using those own phones, as the old chips wouldn't matter as everything is on the cloud. You would just need like a screen based system to just view content. So those two things I had in mind.
It's really interesting. Yeah, technology, it's essential nowadays, so it's important to think in different perspectives on that. Thank you so much for the presentation, group, and Andre and all group for the ideas and for such interesting subject. So now for the last group, the group one actually, from Carlos, Aditya, Diana, Isabel, Carino, and Linda, who is going to present. I would like to ask, so we keep on time. So and that's it. Who's going to present for the group? There we go.
Actually, we are going to talk almost everyone. So
perfect.
Okay. How do you here? Sorry. So we are going to talk about mental health. Mental health specifically in people older than 60 years old. We think that seniors people is a population that is getting most affected about the situation, about the pandemic situation, because they are alone or don't have caregivers or relatives that can help them or support them with the health issues or other things related with their lives. So we are going to talk about mental health with senior people. Adi is here.
Yeah. So, the statistics are, like self-explanatory, and, one would think that, as people get older, you would see, or is it something to really important? But then the statistics really show that at least 1 in 4 adults experiences such disorder. And in fact, nowadays a lot of lines are available for the younger people to help. There is more acceptance, but it is the the older people above 60 who also need help and even awareness that help is available. Simply, and depression is the most common. They need interaction with the changes that are happening, and also more interaction with the younger generation. And in addition, the mental health services for the older adults are quite limited. So the need for this kind of service is quite important. That's what we were able to conclude. Yep, thanks.
Well, also we found that at least for 2020, at least 22% of the population will be over 60 years old. So this is important. I think this is also important, try to figure out that mental health and well-being is so important for others too. Actually, the mental and neurological disorders represent 6.6% of total of disabilities of this age group. and approximately 50% of adults aged 60 and over suffer from a mental disorder.
Okay, so the main idea that we thought about was to create a plan for supporting older adults on accessing to basic technologies, feeling accompanied, and observing their mental and physical health. And that's the first idea. And the second one is that the majority of the seniors don't have the money to pay a specialized center to take care of them. So they have to live by themselves alone. It's we think it will be nice if we created a neighborhood with seniors where they can have plenty of activities and live and support each other. We know that there are some parts in the United States that do this, but we don't think in our countries there are a lot of places that it can be done.
Okay, what to do? So we mix plenty of ideas of what to do and how to do it. Okay, let me wait for a second that I don't see because this web. So what to do? We think that we can take advantage of all the technologies that seniors people know how to use it, like TV, like radio, like sharing with another people older than them or younger than them, and create a system that they can support each other and can have groups where they can have activities and feel support. How to do it? We like to set a pilot with a small group, and then we can know or acknowledge what are the problems or situations that we need to improve or take better steps. And after that, we think that this is really important because right now global population is getting older, and birds are getting really, like, we don't have a lot of birds, so population is getting older and older. So it's it's a population that need support, that have necessities or needs or even problems that need to be solved. And the next steps, we need to, we were thinking about integrate actors in our community and think about seniors people around us that could need this kind of project support, prototype or set a pilot with the purpose of validate certain hypotheses that we could make, and after that escalate in other countries. Thanks.
Thanks. Basically, we feel inspired about this topic because actually we saw that it had been also explored by anybody in the countries. I think that this is something that needs to be talked louder and just try to figure out how these older people are feeling with all this situation. I think that now young people is not so willing to share with their grandpas, for example. So I think that it's important to try to promote or inspire younger people about learn from elders. You know, I think this is important, and I think that it's going to like better our lives and our cultures in our countries.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So it's really interesting to see this topic because, for example, here in Brazil, we are seeing the change of the age pyramid. So it's increasing the number of people with more than 60 years. So it's expected in the next 10 years, for example, you'll have more 60 plus than 15 less in Brazilian population. So it's a huge number, and also people are really are more active and more integrated in the workplace. So if you think about 40 years ago or 20 years ago, if you had 6 years, you're already out of the market, etc. And nowadays it's really different. So it's a really interesting topic. Is there any comments or feedbacks? We have a
Well, just a few words. May I say a few words about Russia? You know, in Moscow government for local communities provide such programs, special social programs for the people 60 plus. They of course they're free of charge for the elderly people, and they can take some training programs, for example, to learn English. Many people have never learned English, but they can start after 60 to learn English, or maybe some recreational activities, and even free lunches. Free lunches, not because people can't afford to buy food. No, it's just for networking, that they can come to some place and they can network. I'm not sure, by the way, it may be only in Moscow. I'm speaking about Moscow. Andrei, maybe you add something. What about your hometown? Do you have such programs for elderly people?
Sadly, no. I guess it's a Moscow.
So it's only Moscow. It's more about Moscow, big cities, unfortunately. So we need to scale this.
I want to share about India thing. See, over here also there is an issue of mental health, and especially with the elderly, because they're alone, and a lot of other health issues primarily. And I think the basic thing what really bothers the elderly is the fear. The fear of death, the fear of catching diseases, the fear of, having something going wrong, falling, all those kind of things. And I think what's happening in our country is spirituality. I think that is catching up in a big way. So we have a lot of organizations who have started this whole meditation processes, and people are going in a big way. It's all free, it's all totally, some of course may be charging, but there are big organizations which are totally doing free, and that also on the mobile and TV. So it's at home. You don't even have to go to attend. If things were okay, they would have gone, but otherwise it's at home on your cell phone, and they have given all those timings. So everyone is involved. I think most of them, I'm one of them, to be very honest. I start for 2 hours. I do a meditation with one of the Art of Living, Sri Ravi Shankar. I don't know whether you've heard of him, but he's also in Brazil. He's also in, Colombia, Mexico. He's got his own kind of, people working over there. But I think this has really helped. I think we should really get into this whole mode of meditation, more into, breathing exercises, something that will engage yourself and come out of that fear and that kind of, loneliness and all those kind of things. I think that if that is added, it will really have a holistic kind of a perspective and positive impact. That's my thought.
Yeah, I totally agree. Congratulations, Steve. I love the way that you identify and focus on the problem and then get to some actionable solutions. Now, I think it will be very actionable if you identify main actors. And as Nir just said minutes before, just a quick hicks. How can you start and identify those actors and those cells to make one action at a time, and then getting approvals and validations so you can really take these programs in action, because all the societies needs a very, very important focus in these elderly people, that it will support the rest of the society. So congratulations. I love the way you focus just directly to the problem and with strong solutions based on best practices. And then the next steps is take actions and start with one step at a time. Congratulations for all your work.
Yeah, thank you once again for taking up such an important topic. Very good topic and very timely. So thank you for even bringing it out so well. Thanks to the team who has done a great job. Thank you.
Great. You're going to say something, Andrei? Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of points. First, I'm immensely thankful for the team for bringing up this topic. It's quite acute, and the mental health is unfortunately so stigmatized. It's unbelievable. And I'm still impressed by your guest speaker in your module who has talked on a similar issue. And indeed, we should care about it more. And just as was said in one of the slides, caring about mental health, caring about mind is just as important as about body. And trying to be concise, the second point, I think if I got it correctly, there was mentioned of seniors helping each other out, such as in between a group. Here in Russia, we had on multiple occasions, we had this idea. What do people want? People want to be needed. If they have a sense of being needed, a sense of belonging, then they tend to have less mental problems. And that's exactly what happens to the pensioners, to the seniors and elderly. They become not, well, forgotten would be too much of a word, but they lack this sense. And if we take the elderly and the young ones, say in orphanage, and bring them together, they can help each other out. Yeah. The kids have the become patronized, and the adults regain this sense of being in need, of being needed. Sorry.
Yeah. Perfect. Right, that sounds lovely. Yeah.
Great. Really great, everyone. I think all the 4 groups bring really interesting discussions and really important topics. We navigated through social problems, environmental problems, and economical problems itself. So it was really great to see. And now, of course, the power is in your hands. So you now have these powerful networks of colleagues from all around the world. Also would like to make a call that I had a suggestion here. So if you guys would like to share your LinkedIn page, etc., on the chat, so everyone can keep the connections going. So use the chat for this, for network and interaction. And now I would like to invite our colleague and Professor Del for bringing a really interesting discussion about innovation and bring some inspiration for the next steps of the program, and sharing lots of experience in what he's doing and how innovation can help to build this important future that we want. Professor Del, welcome to the program.
All right, Gustavo. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you guys for having me here today. I got a lot of responsibility to, kind of speaking for this big panel in here. I will try to do my best in somehow, meaning that I'm not an expert in so many technologies and disruptions, but I do have some experience in my industry. So we're gonna get some bias for this presentation today, all right? So I will not try to kind of to tap in so many different type of innovations and other stuff, but definitely I'm gonna help you guys. I'll try to help you guys somehow with some specifics when it comes to food science and technology and food industry that I can walk you guys through it. All right. So thank you again for having me today. Just make sure you guys can hear me and can see me totally fine, right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfectly.
So I got a very hard subject that calls like innovation as a driver for the future. And can I go ahead, just share with you guys some slides in here that can guide this conversation? Shavo, can you allow me to share my screen?
I think you can. Yes.
Beautiful. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let me just get this here. Get this going. Beautiful. I just wanna, a very short background. So I'm from Brazil, as Gustavo, and I used to I learned about innovation technology in a different way. So I'll get you guys a different angle about it. So I learned about innovation technology being an entrepreneur, and that's quite a different aspect for that. So I got so many stories to tell you guys, and about good things and bad things as an entrepreneur doing technology innovation. That's my profile. Again, you guys can easily talk to me and find me on social media as well. But long story short, I started my career as a researcher, doing master's degree in food science and technology back in Brazil. And we do have in a professional background that's quite different for usually like a Brazilian person, or maybe someone that's coming from a developing country. So we went through lab to market with innovation technology. So I started like a researcher, doing a master's degree, working with this technology and science and with food. But I quickly realized that I was not really that smart to be a researcher and a scientist. And then I turned myself to the business side of things. And then what we did, we put together a company and we published a couple of papers, we create some patents when we were working back then in university, and then we transferred this technology for the company. And after that, we went through every single step to market to kind of, you know, get a technology in the market. In our space, it's basically baby nutrition. So we did a lot of, you know, lab scale testing, scale it up, raising grants for the government, raising money for investors. And just for you guys to understand, 2010, we got the first seed money, and it was basically, it's not the first one, but basically the most active. We used to say this was the first seed money in the country. So it's really hard when you want to be like an entrepreneur. It's hard by nature. If you want to try that in a developing country, as a couple of you guys in here are also coming from developing countries, it's even more complicated sometimes because we lack of, you know, infrastructure, we lack of, you know, funding, a couple of things. But we made it. It was like an amazing experience. So in 2010 we got this first investor. 2012 we launched a portfolio of technologies in innovation, basically baby nutrition. That's my space. So baby formulas for different type of babies with some genetic disease, babies with allergic babies, cow's milk allergic babies, so many products for babies and baby food. That's what we used to do. The company was doing great. It was a huge experience for myself, starting this things from ground to market. And 2017, I moved down to US, to Boston, the place that I'm living now, for a course, as you guys doing in here. I was doing like an MBA course. I got in Boston for this program at MIT, and it was something that was kind of wanting to do for quite a long time. And I will share with you guys some stuff when it comes to innovation, especially in the way that I learned that here at MIT. Few concepts, and then a couple of examples that we can, you know, interact. Is that okay? Let me just check on you guys and see if everybody's on board and kind of hearing me. Is that cool? Beautiful. Let me move forward and show you guys something that I believe will be interesting. So when I got in here, I got extremely impressed about the whole innovation, like the innovation ecosystem, and how that works and operates in a place that was kind of way more mature than the Brazilian innovation ecosystem. And the first thing that I learned for one of the key directors of the program was that, so nowadays, like, we got over 30,000 companies founded by, you know, MIT alums. And these companies can employ over 4.6 million people around the world. And that's quite a lot. And more than this, those companies that kind of, you know, started with innovation produce revenues of something like it's about $2 trillion per year in revenues, just for companies coming from this ecosystem and coming from, you know, the MIT world around there. And that's quite impactful. It means basically the sixth biggest economy in the world. So picture that. So my subject in here is literally talking about innovation and as a driver for the future. And that's a very, very mature ecosystem. And you can clearly see how impactful it could be just based on some numbers like those. And that was kind of scary for myself when I got in and said, wow, I can't believe that this people is doing this in this kind of, you know, large and massive scale. And more, let me use like just two concepts just to guide this conversation here. And I want to have some engagement with you guys, all right? So that was my first impact, how innovation can, you know, kind of hit the world. And also this phrase was always kind of sticking in my mind when I was learning innovation, my thing, he's not really kind of throwing, guys, concepts, there's so many concepts about innovation, but I like this one here because I think it's quite simple. And so Professor Fiona Murray, she's the Dean for Innovation at MIT, and she kind of shaped this in a very simple way. We say, so here in MIT, we define innovation as a process to take ideas from inception to impact. So think about this. So we get an idea from the inception, from the genesis to impact. What kind of impact? Could be many types. Could be like a very subtle type of thing. Could be a sheet, any type of improvement, and could be something like a radical innovation. But think about this. They understand the whole innovation process, not like a product. Usually we want to see like innovation is like, an iPhone is like a software, whatever thing. We usually think about innovation as the final product or maybe a service. But they do have a different approach for this, thinking about innovation as a process. And you guys probably study so many ways to define innovation, different programs and things, but I like this one. So if you guys don't mind, let's stick with this concept. That will be helpful over this conversation we're having here, all right? Innovation as a process that takes an idea from the inception, from the genesis to impact. Is that cool? Let me see if you guys with me. Beautiful. The second concept, and I promise you guys, will be the second one that will throw on you today, is this one here. Because every time we're talking about innovation and we're thinking about innovation that would drive the future, we gotta go through this concept called disruptive innovation. Let me stop and ask you guys, who knows this guy and who knows what is this kind of thing called disruptive innovation can help with this? Who's this gentleman here? Can we have some interaction, Gustavo? Is that allowed?
Yes, of course.
All right, who is this guy, guys? Help me out. No one want to step in and try? No?
Well, something tells me his name is Clayton Christensen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely his name is Clayton Christensen. But I was very lucky in my life because I got a chance to meet this guy in person. We got some synergies like in the family and religion side of things. And he's he passed away last year, but he's a extremely famous guy because he wrote a book called Caught with innovation. So you guys probably have so many examples, more than I'm able to come out in here. But that man, who was the first one to explain this, he basically created this thing that we call now disruption innovation. He was the one that kind of coined this term, disruptive innovation. And you say something that's really interesting. It's like a disruptive innovation is in a product or service, is that usually it is unattractive for the type of use. So a disruptive innovation will be something that the most powerful leaders in the world and in industries will look to this and say, listen, you know what? It doesn't really matter. My customer would never ever buy this. That would not never stick in the market. Usually when that happens, that raises like a red flag. So if you guys have a chance, I strongly suggest we study this man, Professor Clayton Christensen, disruptive innovations. And I'm just saying this because I just gave you guys a concept of what innovation means. And now another layer, this concept of disruptive innovation, meaning something that we will get and will change the whole industry. You're going to disrupt something. Professor Christensen is a master in giving us examples of this, like in the automobile industry, like in the stainless steel industry, like many different places. They're going to explain how this thing happens. That's not my idea in here, but just I want you guys to keep this in mind. We always hear this, big leaders, and Christensen always, he makes a point, say, listen, you think that, all the Ford people back then, before Toyota and Honda's coming to the US market, you think about all the executives and presidents running these huge corporations. You think these people, there is someone that's dumb, that is not smart running these companies? So why? they were not able to really see the whole disruption that Toyota was coming and bringing to the market. So why? And that happens in so many other industries that we are around here. The problem, as I told you guys, I'm not able to kind of touch in so many different areas because the world now it's so complex. So I can, barely work with some, AI, blockchain. I do have like a very superficial, understanding about this, but I can walk you guys through on an industry that I'm working with for quite a long time. And this is like the food industry. And there's some very important disruption that's going on at this point. And I want to, show you guys some cases, and then we have a more like type of conversation. Is that okay, still? I just want to check if everybody's like still on board. All good? Beautiful. Let me show you this. So this place called Good Food Institute. It's basically kind of mapping the future and helping innovators, companies, and not any type of people that want to do some business, do some stuff with food at this point. And there is like 3 major subjects now. One's called plant-based, another one's called cultivated meat, another one called fermentation. I will use this like an example, and that I believe will be a massive example to understand this innovation and in future. All right. So someone heard about this. Maybe let me do something different. They have a concept about this plant-based meat, meaning that you skip the animals and you turn plants in something that looks like meat. Getting plants that looks like meat. And a really good example is this one here. Everyone, someone tried this before? Do you guys know this product in here, this company? Who knows this and can kind of jump in and help me out? What is that? No one? It's like a massive company now. Oh, maybe I guess you guys are so shy. Come on, help me out. What product is this? And what's different in this product?
It's made by cultivated meat.
Yeah, maybe it's not meat.
Almost. You're getting very close. Yeah.
Is it plant-based meat?
It's a plant-based meat. All right, Nicholas, can help me out. What is this company actually doing? Impossible, called Impossible Burgers, Impossible Foods. What is different on this product in here that we see in the screen?
If I'm not mistaken, they make meat products so similar to meat that you cannot distinguish them from one another. So if you are giving normal hamburger and their product, you won't be able to tell which one isn't meat.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael. Exactly. So I was trying to get a picture that can translate this, and this one here was the best one I got. So it's a burger, but made out of plants. There is no single cow in here. And even if you look at it, you see that it bleeds. There is like blood on that. So these people, they create a technology that's a small molecule called heme. So heme is actually a plant-based thing, and it goes in this product and make a plant-based burger bled like a real meat, a real beef. So that's really interesting. And if you try it, I'll tell you this. Most of the people, I can get to the number, I heard that yesterday in a conference, but I guess that only 20% of the US population can distinguish between, the regular burger to this one here. I'm not really sure about the number. Don't get me wrong if I'm mistaken that, but it's like a massive amount of people can barely distinguish between what is a plant-based, what's a regular burger. That's quite impressive, don't you think? If you look at this in here, and if you kind of look back like 10 years ago, for what we have like soy burgers, man, that's quite different. So this people is growing like all over the world. And I want you guys to understand that they pitch this company as a company that's made in, plant-based meat for meat eaters, not for vegan people. They say, listen, that's a plant-based burger for someone that loves meat. And that's the concept in here. You can get access to almost the same type of flavor, texture, and the whole food experience is quite important. Keep this in mind. I strongly suggest you guys to try I don't know in the place that you guys are, but like Burger King now does have this type of product. In the US, it's more easy to find it. The price point is still like a little bit, off, at least in my understanding, still expensive. But the technology on board is really impressive. But keep in mind, let me just give you guys more examples, and then I want to open this in a different conversation. Is that cool? Everybody just follow me. Let me just check again. All right. Moving forward, this other company is almost the same concept. Someone heard about this Beyond Meat? What was interesting in this company? What happens in this company in the past? Someone knows it? If you guys want to jump in, please do it anytime, all right? Just open up your mic and jump in anytime. But Beyond Meat is almost the same concept. They don't really have this molecule called heme, but the product you guys see that it's quite similar than a real burger. It's also, they made an IPO recently. It was like shocking for the whole world. And more interested, when they start, a company called Tyson, that's one of the biggest players in the meat industry, they invest in Beyond Meat. So when Tyson stepped in and invest in Beyond Meat, give a strong signal to the world, say, listen, this thing is serious. So this thing are, producing meat, the plant-based meat that looks like real meat is quite strong. So they invest in Beyond Meat, and Beyond Meat is one of the top, business case that we study when it comes to innovation in the food industry. Let me move forward with all the other examples, just so I want you guys to get a picture of what's going on in the food space. All right. Anyone heard about this company here called Just? Can someone can help me on this one here? No, not really. All right, Just is you guys can read that. So made from plants is like a plant-based egg. And actually, I was lucky enough to meet Josh, the guy that's the founder of this company, and he told me his whole story behind it. It's so impressive and like so cool to see. And they search like millions of plants in the plant kingdom to find a plant with the characteristics of scrambling like an egg. So this thing here called Just, it's actually a plant-based egg. So the product, you guys look at this. You think that it looks like a scrambled egg? It really is. You don't see the texture. I tried that with over there in California with Josh, and it's literally the texture is exactly the same like an egg. But for my understanding, it tastes like spinach. So it is so cool. You basically take chickens out of the equation, and you have a product that looks like eggs.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
I guess my Siri here is giving me some trouble. Sorry. So watch this. Check this company. If you have that in your country, try that. It's really I love this product. It's really cool. Let me move forward. So we're talking about plant-based products, right? Juliana, watch this. What is that? What kind of products is this they're producing? Is a plant-based product. Who can you guys guess? What is that?
Salmon.
It's tuna.
It's tuna, yeah.
Tuna. And the texture, I haven't tried that before yet. I know Jake, but I really want to try that. They say that the experience and the taste and the characteristics is exactly like tuna. Another example that I want to give you guys. Good Catch is the same. They doing like fish, plant-based fish. The texture, the color, the experience really looks like fish. And this one here, I love this business case. Have you guys tried this before? Any product from Naco? You never heard about this company? No. So these people are from Chile. And
in Russia, not sure if the same company, but we have the same product. It's literally in Russian called not milk.
Oh yeah, that's the same one. That's the same one. They're going all over the world now, but they start in Chile. And Pablo is one of the founders and the scientist, and he's a really good mentor for us. And he tells us this story about Naco. You see the product on the right-hand side, the not nail. So he said that they were searching and they were trying to create some innovation for the Chilean market, because every Chilean loves their country. It's so impressive. And for Chilean people, I don't know, do we have any Chilean guy in here or not? We don't? All right, I know that we got, okay, cool. But so he was basically saying, he was like, in Chile, mayo, it's a kind of major product. They get mayo in everything, any kind of food. So they want to have a product to test the market, and a product that got a better, value, on like in the food space. Sometimes you have so tiny margins, they want to have a product that got more margins to operate. So they tried producing this not mayo. It's basically a mayonnaise with no eggs, with no animal proteins. It's like a vegan mayo. And then they did a bunch of blinding tests on the supermarket, and people can't distinguish between the original mayo and the mayo. That turns into like something so cool. They started getting some traction, getting some investors. They came to US, and the whole thing now, it's called, this company is this company called Naco. I strongly suggest you guys to try it. That's one of my favorites. All right, it's really not only the whole quality of the product, but their communication is just massive. It's a very powerful business case. If you guys have a chance to check it out. But let's move forward. I told you guys about this plant-based product. So it's made out of plants, but looks like real proteins. Now we have another technology in the food space. It's called fermentation. Actually, the technology is not really that new. It's the same fermentation we use to produce beer, your yogurt and many things. But now we're using those microbes to produce proteins. It's basically producing proteins in a big bioreactor. Instead of, growing animals, you grow microbes to produce proteins. And picture this. Did you guys heard about this company? Do you guys know what they're doing? Maybe can guess. Someone can guess what these people doing here? Called Perfect Day Foods. Come on.
Is it yogurt?
Almost.
Ice cream, maybe?
It's an ice cream? Yeah. But the technology behind it, it's actually Perfect Day. It's producing cow's milk proteins without cows. Watch that. So they grow in the bioreactor cow's milk proteins, and then they make products out of this. This company raised almost $400 million already, and they selling cow's milk proteins without cows all over the world now. It's a massive case that's changed the whole industry. So how we can, have the same texture, flavor, and food experience on a plant-based ice cream. Usually, I don't know if you guys tried that before, but a plant-based ice cream, it's slightly different than ice cream produced with milk, with cow's milk. Watch this. This product is extremely, extremely nice. I'm a big fan of this company and what they do in the world. Produce, it's basically cow's milk without a cow. All right, watch this. This is Legendary Foods. They basically using the same thing, the same biotechnology to produce cheese without milk. So they produce the core protein on milk, that's casein. So they produce this in a lab, in a bioreactor, and they put that and make cheese. I don't have the video in here, but they have like a really nice video that a cheese made out of these bioreactors that it can stretch it. It's really cool. And that's like a vegan cheese. So is it nice? You guys would like to try that or not? It looks tasty, don't you think? Let me show you another one. These people here, Clara Foods. You guys haven't seen this company? Maybe you can guess what they're doing? Come on, step in. What is people doing? Eggs.
Something related with eggs.
Eggs. They're doing eggs, but without chickens again. So they basically are growing a bioreactor, the key egg proteins. So they dry it up and make ingredients that you can have exactly the same texture of eggs. It's basically, once again, eggs without chicken. Watch this. And the other thing they're doing, they can produce this in a massive scale, in a quite large scale. So it's really cool. Let me show another one. This one is the best one for my understanding. That's actually our company. that's my merchandise. That's what we do. We do baby formulas without cow's milk, without cows. we bioengineer breast milk without a mom. That's the process we have in here. Usually to produce a baby formula, cow's milk is the main ingredient. So on a baby formula, it's over 98% of the product, it's cow's milk. But cow's milk causes so many problems for the baby because cow's milk is naturally designed for a cow's baby, not for a human baby. So over 20% of the babies having baby formulas will have allergic reactions, will have so many problems. What we do in Harmony, and I told you guys, that's my expertise, working with babies and the baby nutrition. It's basically this: we bioengineer, we produce the human breast milk components in bioreactors at large scale, and then we build baby formulas out of this. And this one here, let me show you that this is our first, literally the first human breast milk based formula that we made very recently. And we are so happy with this. I want to just share with you guys. If you have a chance, I know that we kind of short in time, I'll show you a short video about the process and the company, the things that we're doing as well. But let me keep moving and show you the third type of innovation in the food space that will probably change the world. Is this making meat directly from the cells. So growing tissues, growing cells, and making meat out of this. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but just keep an eye out. You're gonna see this very, very shortly. This is the first company. They start the first time it was called like Memphis Meat. That was the first company to produce like a meatball using cells, literally cow cells. And then this company now made a breakthrough in the space. One of you guys know what of course that you guys see this product is the chicken, but have you guys heard about this company and what they do in Singapore? No, it is Good Meat. Actually, it's a spin-off from Just. Do you remember the company that's doing like plant-based eggs called Just? This company here, Good Meat, if you see the logo, it's like almost the same structure. They're doing the same. This is the first chicken nugget produced by real chicken cells in the world, and it got approved in Singapore in the beginning of this year, and it was like a huge breakthrough. So it's literally you eating chicken, but without growing chickens. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a real chicken that was grown in a bioreactor. So we grow the chicken cells, you get the fat, you get the fibers, you get all these components, you blend this all together, and you have a chicken. And they believe that in about 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, the price point for this type of chicken, kind of they call cultivated meat, will pair with the price of chicken. That's actually one of the lowest cost type of meat that we have in the world. So keep this in mind. I haven't tried that before. It's not available in the US, but I definitely want to try that. And everyone's like, it's everyone say that's the taste and the texture. It's almost exactly the same thing. That's eating chicken. At least it looks really good, don't you think? It's really nice. But let me just move forward and show you this. There is so many other companies breaking into this space, trying to produce dairy, eggs, beef, as I showed you guys, poultry, seafood, so many things. It's basically understanding what's going on in the food industry. And I'm in the food space for quite a long. And usually we say in food science and technology, what happens is that all the technology that was coming to the food space over the last, I'll say 15 years, has to produce more food, make it more stable, more profitable, but doesn't really mean that we're making better food. So technology in the food industry usually was producing more food in massive scale, but sometimes it's not really better food. Now watch this, what innovation technology, and these technologies are coming from the pharmaceuticals. And some technologies are available in the market for over 20, 30 years already. Those technologies coming from the different industry and change the whole landscape. And more than this, let me share this very quickly with you guys and open for some discussion. So Boston Consulting Group very recently published this press release saying that the alternative protein market, all of this innovation that I showed you guys, will reach at least $290 billion by 2035. That's quite big. And also watch this. This is a composition in, so it's growing like 14% per year. And that's it, like in 2035, the composition. So many things we're gonna have like plant-based. So some will be like microbe-based, as I told you guys, fermentation, and also this animal cell. That's still like in the early stage, but it's happening already. And more than this, and I want you guys to turn this in a conversation now, is this. Boston Consulting Group, McKinsey, and many people now, it's kind of saying this out of loud, that alternative proteins will claim as much as 22% of the overall protein market. Think about this. We're basically saying that in about 14 years, 15 years, more than 20% of the proteins we're consuming will come from different sources. About this. So let me turn this in a different conversation. Let me ask you guys now, and you guys help me to understand this, how technology innovation will drive the future in the food industry. How do you guys think about it? What happens if we take these animals out of the equation? What's going to be the impact in the near future based on this things that I'm telling you guys? It's happening right now. It really happened.
One of the things is related to the climate change, because growing up an animal uses a lot of plant and the resources before you get the same amount of biomass.
Yes.
So they say that reducing actual animal meat would reduce or would impact climate change in a big way, because you have a lot of methane production from the faces of the animals as well, and the amount of biomass they eat in order to get to the muscle and protein.
100% agree. So it's basically the whole value chain behind it. So you gotta grow the crops, you gotta harvest, you gotta clean it, you gotta do the whole distribution process for the people that's growing the animals, and then they're gonna grow the animal. There's the whole value chain behind it. If you don't need to grow the animal to produce animal proteins, you change the whole food industry. And that's why most of the skepticals, and coming back to the Professor Christensen concept, most of the big industry would say, listen, it would never ever happen. That's so freaking expensive. That's not gonna happen. And watch this. This year, Good Meat just break through and showed us that it's possible. Even growing chicken cells in a bioreactor, and get this approved in a regulatory, and it's available in Singapore now. You can go there and you can buy it, you can have it, and you can try it, and let us know if it is good or not. But let me go back to this. My question is that how innovation is going to drive the future? How you guys see the future with this food and these things that we're talking here? How this will going to impact the world when it comes to food and what we have in here? So help me out. Well, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. I guess we have 1 minute more.
Well, just as I wrote in the chat, real meat substitutes can actually help alleviate the world hunger problem and possibly feed the ever-growing population. It can be used for the benefit of humanity.
Definitely. One of the key things is that we're struggling because to keep the pace. So our population is growing quicker and faster than we're able to kind of produce food. So that's a new way to do it. And that's really important. So that's why countries like Singapore, with a kind of very small land, are kind of leading this revolution, say, listen, we can produce food even without, land. That's so many things. You see how innovation will change the future. So the big players like Brazil, now they're producing food because we have, plenty of land and all technology and all this stuff. Maybe we got to keep an eye out because countries like Singapore, Hong Kong are betting really hard on this, throwing billions of dollars to be leading this. am I making myself kind of clear in this? Of course, I got biased because I'm working on this space for quite a long, but I really want to share with you guys some thoughts and in the way that we see that innovation is going to drive the future, and that will be part of maybe we will not be seeing this in the next 10 or 15 years in our countries, but definitely our new generation are going to see this. Will be quite normal having a plant-based burger or maybe a cultured meat type of food in our plate there very shortly. So let me stop right here. As Gustavo, I know that we're just on time. I guess I can get some questions if you guys have, but thank you so much for inviting me and for having me here today. That's all. That's a great pleasure.
Thank you, Dale. I think there are questions on the chat. I think Karina asked about the investment on that. How do you see this for smart food startups, for example?
Yeah, Karina, so investment in the food space now is kind of blowing my mind away. It's so many investors are breaking into the space, believing that that's going to be the next. They basically picture this like the new internet opportunity. So there is every single big investor now have investments on the food tech space. There's so many companies now trying to make something like this. It's really trendy. I want you guys to keep an eye out. So I'm talking to like about 5 investors per day for you to understand they want to really understand this process, and they of course doesn't mean that everybody want to throw you money, but they really want to understand what's going on, because it's clear that the future in the food system will change very, very quickly. So yeah, we got so many people just interested in investments, quite abundant at this point. That's a good part of that.
So Wendell, can I ask a question? Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know if I can answer that. Yeah.
No. It's just that first, let me comment on your name. I like that, Wendell, entrepreneurship passionate. That's good, huh? Entrepreneurship passionate. I think that's the tagline you have with your name. So that's a good one. Second thing is, I know when I see this alternative coming up in a big way, I mean, there's a real disruption in terms of getting a non-vegetarian out and promoting a lot of vegetarian thing. And it's good for us because I'm a vegetarian. So for me, it's a very good kind of a thing. But do you think there's a way of people getting more into vegetarianism rather than not having non-veg? Is this one of the underpinning philosophy of this kind of a disruption and innovation as an alternative? Because see, there are so much of meat eaters all over the world. How do you really protect that in terms of climate change, in terms of future sustainability, in terms of growth in crops and plantation, all those kind of things, keeping in mind, this is one of the ways of creating more awareness and interest in this whole vegetarianism, rather, which is more tasty like non-veg, but at the same time, it's not because of meat, it's not because of that, but it's because of plant. So you think that is one of the underpinning of this whole movement, the whole innovation, this whole disruption that is coming up in a big way?
Yeah, I'll get you my understanding of that. And of course, the climate change is a massive important, and everything here will have like massive impact in climate change, because growing cows, producing dairy, producing meat is one of the big drivers, for the whole problems we have now. But yes, so the consumer behavior, it's massive important. So those trends really kind of started picking up when turns in something trendy, turn yourself like vegans. Of course, in your case, for the Indian population, it's different because it's part of your guys' culture, and you guys have a massive population that's vegan, like for not because it's trendy, but because you guys, it's part of the culture.
Yeah, we have a religious background. We have so many other cultural, religious, so many things behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point that the consumer behavior is massive because they want it. It's not only because it's good for the planet, it's because they want it. And the trend is that push the science, that push of it, and also that push really hard the regulatory agencies, because it's so new That's the hardest part now. I tell you guys, it's not really producing these technologies at scale. It's getting approved on the regulatory agencies. And that's really hard because there is no framework for that. They don't know how to do it. They kind of scared, you know what I'm saying? But I totally agree with you. Consumer behavior, and it's massive to drive this type of innovation.
Thank you so much. Very insightful presentation, very informative. Thank you so much. Very
Absolutely. No, good to hear that you guys enjoyed. I do have like a last call, if you guys don't mind, and I will check the other questions in here. Go to Harmony website and subscribe for it. That's a way you guys can keep in touch with us, know what we're doing, and of course, give us some support on this. That's a kind of complex and long journey. So go to harmonybabynutrition.com, subscribe for Harmony. It's easy to talk to me as well. That's our channels. Yeah, Gustavo, do we have time for another question? I see here in the chat box.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, one more question. Yeah, we have time.
Right, I got to the company called Blue Tribe. Yeah, I don't know that, Aditya. Maybe you can tell us what they do, but I never heard about them. There's so many companies now breaking to the space that I never heard. Can you tell us what they do?
Yeah, they are into like the plant-based meat substitutes.
Right. Cool. In what kind of product are they producing? Like burgers, or maybe?
So they have like nuggets, and they have the mince.
Right. Have you tried that before?
No, I tried it the first time like the last month.
Yeah, it was good?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. All right. Yeah. Do you guys think for a comment, Aditya? So let me open this for you guys. And if we don't really have any other questions, I'll pass it over to Gustavo.
Thank you, Del. Thank you so much for the presentation. And I think it really fits with our discussion today, because today the students were presenting solutions for big issues and big problems. And here we can see, for example, food security and food access is something really huge, especially if we recall to the social challenge discussions that we had with Luisa, and also with the global risk reports. For example, we see that population is increasing, so we need more food, and we need food for all people, and we need good food, because we might have food but not with proper nutrition, balance, etc., that is so necessary. And when we go to science and when we go to innovation, it's nice to see that we can create this on the sense. But of course, we are seeing this changing, and it's nice to see that this is changing really fast. I remember that a couple of years ago, I first heard about Impossible Burger, and it was something really expensive, and you just see one or two competitors in that sense. And now we see this number increasing, even in Brazil, for example, companies that do massive production of proteins, for example, Sediada. There's like a really cheap, I would say, like really easy to access in the supermarket, lots of options on plate-based food in that sense. So it's something moving on. And on your case shows that it's possible to create innovation, to create solutions that's going to drive the change that the planet needs and the future wants. And I would like to recall two topics that there's the planet issues that we're seeing. So we must fight climate change, we must fight inequalities, we must fight all the problems related to that. But we also have the change of customer behavior. So society is needing for more different solutions, for more impactful solutions, for more sustainable solutions. So this is really fits really well. So thank you for presentation, and also thank you guys for being here during this 5 days. So today was really active day, lots of discussions. This is really good and really nice to see. Thanks for all insights and interactions. So now for next steps, I would like you to ask you to send the presentations that you did today, like for recording, we're going to send also the links of the videos of the classes, etc. And in the following days, you should receive your certificate on the program. So thank you so much, everyone, for the participation. And go ahead now.
Sorry for interrupting you. Just a quick question. I don't know if you guys have like a communication channel like WhatsApp, Slack, whatever. But if you don't mind, we'd love to share our kind of video about Harmony. It's like 4-minute video that tells about the technology and what we're doing. If someone is interested, happy to share that. I'll share that with you in your WhatsApp, and then I might just forward that to you. Thank you guys for supporting. We talk soon.
We can follow to the students later on. This is perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a great day, right?
Thank you, Dale. So everyone, I just would like to ask you to open our camera so we can take a final picture of the program to register this last day. And if you have comments now, feedbacks, information, the mic is open now.